I'm Dan Morris, you're watching Bosun Dan Bushcraft, and today, yes, we're in the back of the garage, but don't worry, we are not staying in the back of the garage. Today I am taking you to the woods, but not just yet, because there's something I need to do first before we can go to the woods, because today, I'm trying to fasten me collar, what, not collars are they? Are they? What are they? I don't know, it's left me brain, these things at the end of your arms. Sleeves, that's the one. Get them out of the way, otherwise they're going to be driving me mad, flopping about everywhere. Today, what are we doing? We are taking a look at a knife, a very specific knife, a knife that has been, well, not the bane of my life, but has been floating about in the backwaters of my life for a very long time. It's also a knife that I have never paid any never mind to or had any particular amount of respect for, and it is the little French opinel number 6. Now then, why have these been a fact in my life for that long and up and down and all of that? Well, these have always been around. They've been around a heck of a long time. They are a very low cost French pocket knife, and I've always been very dubious about them. I've never really been that interested in them because they seem very fragile to me. They've always seemed very fragile because of the operation. If you see there, you know, it's wood in there. The little tang that goes on the hinge is very small. I can't imagine they put up with much abuse. The blades themselves are very, very thin steel. That's not to say, though, that it's a terrible thing or a bad design, because I don't think it is. That's what we're going to be taking a look at anyhow. They're actually, in many ways, they're quite clever. You can close that, turn the little sleeve there, and that'll lock the blade so it can't open and poke you in the leg when it's in your pocket. And you can also use that little slidey doobry there, and that locks the blade in place again so that it won't close and stab you in the finger. You know, doing something daft, slice your finger off. This, though, as you can see by the whole design of it, for a lot of bushcraft, I can't imagine it's going to be that useful. I can imagine for a lot of stuff, you're gonna snap it. Carving things and the like, yeah, you'd be all right. You know, your delicate carvings, if you want to carve a picture on something, you know, decorate your timber work. This could be your buddy, this could be your friend, it could work. You certainly aren't going to be batoning it through anything, are you? Yeah, you're not going to be whacking it and snapping sticks up with it or anything like that. I'm sure you could use it for wood shavings, for a fire and all of that whatnot. But I do have the suspicion, just by the look, the feel, the design, that this would be a fantastic dining knife. So certainly if you are in the business of skinning and gutting animals, fish, filleting, I would imagine that this is brilliant for that. So I'm going to put aside my personal prejudices against this thing, because like I say, I've never had any respect for these things, and I'm going to use it. I'm going to have a go with it, and I'm going to try not to break it. I'll tell you now, I am not going to make this thing do any hard work forestry tasks, because I know it can't put up with that. But I'm going to use it as a bit of a dining knife, use it to start a fire with and a few other things like that. Just see if I can sort of big it up a little bit in my mind and make it seem useful. I did buy this specifically for this video as well, and I have to say, as much as I don't really like these things, it's kind of grown on me in the time that I've had it and been fiddling around with it. Like I say, it's not a full-on hardcore bushcraft knife, and I don't think that was ever the design. Now, these things are very low cost. I mean, I think I paid about £14 for this, so it's very low cost just to have a blade in your pocket. And like I say, if you're careful, you could probably get away with a lot with it. Now, I know I'm going to get some I know I'm going to get some feedback off this video, regardless of what I say about this, because one thing I have found over the years with these opinel knives is they are like Marmite. Yeah, you meet people that think they are the absolute bee's knees, and then you meet people who simply wouldn't have them given to them. But Personally, for me, looking at it how it sits like that with its handle design, if I snap the blade off it, I would probably carve this rather elegant back section into a fishing lure, because, well, it's kind of halfway there. Now, a few people have said before to me when they go, oh, the opinels, they've always got good edges on them, the nice, good, sharp knives from fresh purchase. I don't know where you've been buying yours from. The edge on this knife is pathetic. Yeah, I think you'd struggle cut through a tomato with it for how it's been sent to me. I am not impressed with that edge one little bit. There's no point even trying. It certainly isn't going to shave you. Anyone who knows me, which obviously a lot of you don't, but anyone who's ever done anything with me, bushcraft in the woods, knows I will not take a cutting tool out unless it has a razor edge. If it doesn't, shit, you get all those people doing the whole let's slice paper. It's a lot easier to cut through paper than it is to shave hair. I like it even with the axes, so they're absolute shave sharp. There is no point in a blunt cutting tool. So although the blade has been relatively well polished, and to an extent it's been reasonably well ground, that edge is pretty rubbish. Now, I meant to cut your finger, don't get me wrong, but yeah, you ain't going to shave with this thing. So I'm going to put my preferred sharp. This is nothing fancy. I'm not going to start quoting numbers and angles to you or anything like that. I do it by eye and by hand, and I just do it how I like it to be done. Now, some people will be thinking, the hell's he doing with that stone? Well, I'm oiling it. No, it's not an oil stone, it's a wet stone. It's just standard water wet stone. But I find if you throw a bit of 10W40 on it, it makes it silky smooth like butter, and you do get a wonderful, wonderful edge out of it, of your blade for being it. But as I'm sure some of you are thinking just by watching me put oil on it, you'll be thinking, but isn't that going to clog the stone? Yes it is. Yes, it is going to clog your stone and eventually pretty much make it, well, it'll turn it into more of a razor stone. It's all right if you've got a good sharp knife and you just want to put a real fine edge on it. It'll make it slippy for life. Now, there's two schools of thought on this. A stone that's soaked up full of oil and has become so super smooth it doesn't really grind anymore. One way to treat it is you can drop it in boiling water and just leave it sitting in boiling water, and that will lift all of the oil and gunk back out of it and make it as good as new. These stones, which is bizarre because they're ceramic and they're actually really good quality, I get these for £1 a piece from a local shop. So if I kill it, I'm really not that fussed. If you've got good quality expensive stones, I'm not advising you to go throwing engine oil on them. Standard stuff. We're just going to start by grinding it in, basically. So cutting as if you're trying to shave the stone. We'll worry about honing and all that sort of behaviour a little later on. And really, because it's not been ground for the bestest edge ever, what I'm actually doing is just increasing the bevel length. Right, so I've given it a good 50 odd pulls, sorry, 50 odd runs of grinding it on the rougher side of the stone, just to stretch that bevel out a little bit more and thin the edge just a touch, and already you can feel that it feels sharper. Not really the point of the rough side of the stone. That's all about grinding, shaping the metal. Now if I just run the edge of my fingernail up the blade, I can feel, yes, it feels a little sharper, but it's also a little catchy, just a little catchy, which is good. That's what we want. That lets us know that we have gone to the full cutting edge of the bevel with the stone, so we've made some difference. Because an issue a lot of people will get is they'll be grinding away, and they're either on the wrong angle or they simply don't do it enough. So yes, you are taking metal off the edge, but you're never actually getting to the cutting edge, and then you'll be turning a single bevel into a double bevel. It's not a big problem, but you're not really doing much. So you know that when that edge there just feels a little, I don't mean rough, but when it just feels a little bitey on your fingernail, you know you've got to that edge, which has given me now that slightly more ground down fresh metal to do it on. I don't know if it'll show through the GoPro light, but yeah, oh yeah, it is. It's glowing a bit there, isn't it? You can just see we've just stretched that bevel a little bit more, yeah, just to give us that bit of thinner metal to play with. So now I'm going to swap to the smooth side of the stone, and my word, this is smooth, this stone. It was a smooth stone when it was new. With the addition of me now getting it logged in oil and goo and clogged up with that sort of stuff, it is like glass smooth. So it requires a bit of patience, but my word, does it put a nice edge on either side. Now, a quick tip when you're doing this, when you are grinding into the stone, you should feel a little resistance, just a little sort of scratchy resistance coming back through your hand. If that scratchy resistance suddenly sort of disappears, the chances are you've probably just took your edge clean back off again. Right, so that was a good 50 odd passes either side, and the knife is starting to lose its bite against the stone, which tells me we've gone about as far as we need to with this sort of stone. It's now time for honing, and I'm going to hone it using a different type of stone. I'm going to switch to the actual diamond ceramic for that. Honing, another error people make when sharpening pressure. As we reduce the grit of the things we sharpen it with, so as your stones get finer and finer, so should the pressure that you are applying to said stone. Yeah, so when we're honing, this is a really light process. We are just refining, polishing that edge. Press down too hard, you're just going to ruin it. So I'm going to take this lovely little, this is another Niven product. I'm not sponsored. This is a lovely pocket ceramic. It's got a diamond edge on one side and ceramic on the other. And this is the DC3, tiny little thing. And as it says on the instructions, the case at the back there can be waxed up and used as a strop. It does work. It ain't great, it isn't as good as a real strop, but it works in the field. Brilliant. These little stones are banging. So anyway, honing is basically backstroking. So I'm no longer shaving the stone with the cutting edge. I'm drawing it away from the cutting edge. And I'm going to set my angle just so you can feel friction a little. And if you can't really feel it that much, the sound will tell you. That's the sound you're looking for, listening for. Just that gentle little shh. Now, as you get closer to the honing being finished, you will hear that noise diminish. It will get less. Right then, so phase 2 of the honing process. All I'm doing now is I'm going to increase the angle. Yeah, so we're right on that blade edge. And really low pressure now, really low pressure, and I'm just going to give it a couple of runs, just a few. We're not going to go nuts. Yeah, so right on that cutting edge. Using a strop, it needs wax, some sort of oxide wax. This I believe is aluminium oxide wax. Lots of different types available, lots of different grades, depends entirely what you want to do. Obviously, we're looking for the sharpest that we can get. So you just rub some of this on your leather. Don't go mad. We don't want it to be absolutely, you're not polishing, you're not parade glossing your cadet boots. You're just putting a nice layer of it on there. One block should last you practically your whole life because you're not really using that much of it. The leather on its own will work. Not quite as good as having the wax on it. You can get away with just using your leather. Anchor that. Now then! A couple of terrible mistakes that people make when they're using a strop. 2 different mistakes, same result. Number 1, you're not pulling your strop tight enough. You need your strop to be pulled quite tight so that it's not sagging. The other favourite is people try and polish the blade at an angle. Don't. Keep your blade flat as you polish, yeah? You will get the slightest little movement in the actual strop itself that will do the blade edge. If your strop's sloppy, or if you're pulling the knife down at an angle, what you're going to do is polish your edge back off, because the strop will flex and bend under the knife, so you're actually polishing at a big curve and you're going to end up just rubbing the actual edge off. This is why when you get straight razors, most of them are going to be hollow ground, and the reason they're hollow ground is so that you can run them flat up the strop. I know we've all seen it in TV shows or movies where they and it looks like they're at angles, but those are actors, they don't know what they're doing, they're not genuine barbers. Keep your blade flat onto it, yeah? And again, delicacy is the key here. Don't need to be giving it depth, don't need a massive amount of pressure. 5, count your swipes and do your other side the same. Ooh, now that's a nice edge. Lovely. But will it shave? Sound like Doug Marcader there, don't I? It will kill. It will shave. Don't even know if you can see. I don't seem to have very hairy arms at the moment, so I don't know if you can see. Probably not. Let's have a look. Oh, oh yes, just starting, look. There we go. That's taking hair. Beautiful. So another couple of passes on the strop and I'll call that quits, and she's sharp enough. After you've been dragging it down your arm though, clean it first before you take it to your strop. Remember that we've got wax on that, and your dry skin cells and bits of hair will stick to your strop and render it rather useless. So I'm going to just do the same thing again, flat. Now, as a bit of a cheat, you can do 1 or 2 passes at a sharper angle to really focus on that edge. You've got to know what you're doing and be careful with it. It can be done though, you can do that, but pay particular attention to the noise and that drag feeling that it's giving you, because when that goes, that's your edge gone, basically. If it stops making that sort of scratchy, draggy feel, you've ruined it. So I'm going to give it just 1 or 2 good passes right on that cutting edge. Don't know if you can hear that on the camera, but the note increases. I'm really going to give it a couple, probably because I keep doing this. Oh, there we go. And you can see hair and my dry arm skin on the blade. Bit gross, but it's not that I have particularly dry skin, but there we go. That's what happens when you scrape a sharp thing down it. But hair is missing from my arm. So we have gone from a blade that cannot cut nothing to now it will shave hair. So she's ready to use, and just for good faith, we're going to give it a clean, get all that crud off it, because I'm going to use this as a dining knife. And there we go. Now I have to say, even though it's held together by a pin through a very small tang, once it's twisted up like this and everything, it does become a solid feeling knife. It's not floppy, it doesn't feel not secure or particularly dangerous or anything like that. But it's a handy little thing, really. Like I say, we're not going to be trunctioning it through anything. I'll use it to carve up some firelighting media, and then probably as a dining knife, and see what I think, and think about the thing. I said think, I hate that. Think, see what we think about it when we've done that. But now we know it is beautifully sharp and ready to go. So I'll pop the blade away, twist me little thing that doesn't want to twist. Why doesn't it want to twist? Probably because I've got a slippy finger where I've been messing in oil. Da-da-da. There we go. Of course, because it's wood, because the back of that blade's trapped in between a piece of wood to do the work, should it become super duper floppy, you could soak it in oil or water to swell that wood back up and get more of a grip of it again, I imagine, very much as we do with an axe head or something like that. So, you know, as much as I've never really liked these, probably not actually the worst thing ever in the world. Anyway, we'll pop him away because now it needs to go to the woods. We'll use that lovely little feature it's got where you can lock the blade in so it doesn't come open, because I have experienced some of these before in places that I've worked where we've used them for various bushcraft things, and over the time the blade has got a bit floppy and would open up in your pocket and prod you in the leg. They've dealt with that though. There you go, lock the blade in place. Now it's not really a big deal. So as if by magic, here we are in the woods. But before I can do any knifey stuff, and I'm not going to like ruin the thing and put it completely through its paces, we're just going to have a play with it. But before we can do that, we need a fire. Now, quite recently, it's been very stormy, as I'm sure the whole country is aware, but for anybody watching from outside of the UK, we've had some blooming awful weather. We really have had some pretty windy stuff, and this woods, I haven't been in these woods since before Christmas. It's now New Year, and wow, it's taken an absolute battering out here. Partly one of the reasons why I've avoided it, to be honest with you. We get a lot of tree fall, we get a lot of snags. It's not the best place to be wandering about when the weather's bad. And we've had a lot of damage in these woods, which me, myself and a few other bushcrafters will be slowly clearing up throughout the year. Of course, by clearing up, what I mean is burning. Luckily though, a dead birch that I've had my eye on for quite a while had been blown over and was sort of leaning up another tree, so I have managed to get some dry wood. But because of the state of the woods and the weather, it's another great day for splitting. And I know I bang on about this a lot when it comes to winter fire and wet weather fire, but the reality is, if you don't split your firewood, your chances of getting a fire going in this weather are fairly slim. Here's a fire pile that's been left from before. We'll make use of that as well. But we really do need to split some logs up, otherwise this fire isn't going to work. You see, even though it's dead and the woods are wet, bone dry inside, can't beat it. Birch is a friend when it comes to wet weather fires. A dead birch is your absolute bestie. And of course in this weather, the thinner you can get your splits, the better. All of this wet stuff will inevitably go up as well eventually. It has to dry first. I've plenty more. I've got to have the whole tree over there. That looked like a misfire, but it's a nice skinny stick. Luckily with these things as well, once they've been dead a while, the bark tends to come off as you're splitting them, which is handy because this time of year the bark holds so much moisture in it. Nice. I mean, that big old pile of split wood, all dry in the middle. That's what you want. You've got it at this time of year. You've got to split it. And I'm not going to pretend that I'm doing anything monumentally bushcrafty today to light this fire, because I'm not. I've just brought some fire lighters in my pocket, make it a bit simpler for myself, just because it's the weather it is. It's soaking wet. I've got a Costa cup in my pocket, and what I'm going to do with this cup is bushcraft it into a nice dry surface to put my fire lighters on. Like I say, we've used flints and sparkers, and you know, I haven't bothered bow drilling yet on this channel, not because I can't. I'm actually rather good at it. The reason I haven't bothered is because every man and his dog's out there bow drilling away, so until I think of something extra helpful to tell you, I don't see what the advantage of it is. And I certainly wouldn't be wild bow drilling today unless I've made a kit and let it dry out at home, because the chances of you finding anything in these woods today to get a bow drill running are practically zero. You might get lucky, I doubt it. Anywho, so we're just going to cheat and use a lump of fire lighter and get this fire going. So, so some scientist needs to work out why wherever you go the smoke follows. It was going that way a minute ago. But as you can see, it's starting to get going now. Splitting your wood is crucial. A couple of winter wet weather fire tips here for you. Splitting your wood, we bang on about that on this channel all the time. It simply isn't going to work if you don't split the wood and get to the drier bits on the inside. Another mistake people make, they build it up too small when they first light it. You want to get as much material on top of it the moment it's lit as you can, because all of that heat that's rising up is going to be working to dry your wood for you. If you don't do that and you just let all the bottom stuff start lighting and slowly keep adding bits to it, you're wasting so much heat potential to dry your wood out. You can see it's very smoky at the moment, and that's because even though it's split wood and it's dry inside, it still has a lot of moisture content in it, and because I've got it all piled up on the top there, it's getting rid of that for me. The heat is not being wasted, the heat is drying the wood as it rises, and making it all work more efficient. So don't be one of those people with a fire where you bits and bobs. That's cool in summer when everything's dry. This time of year, get it built high, then light it. Take advantage of all of that heat. And as you see the flames, every time the flames creep up a little bit higher, add more to it. Start drying your split wood off. Don't underestimate how much split wood you're gonna need, particularly in weather like this. It's not actively raining right now. That could change at any moment. It could just start pouring it down right now. If you're ill prepared, you're there now splitting logs in the rain. Axe handles get slippy. It all just increases your risk of injury. Just like they always say, you don't want to ideally be cutting and splitting wood at night. Limited vision. Get all that done while you can see. So we're pretty safely burning now. What I've done is swapped from, instead of being pyramidal and all leaning everywhere to help it dry, we've gone now to the more standard that I use all the time, your lateral fire lay, where your woods all lay in the same way, getting ready to make a cooking surface. I think I might put a brew on. That is pretty well going now. We can pretty much start throwing whatever we want on it. We can even start drying up stuff that we know is absolutely sodden without too much trouble. On that note, I'm going to chuck a couple of my main logs I'm going to burn in a minute either around it just to start aiding them drying. There's something really charming about this stage of a fire when you look around the woods and you can just see your smoke low-lying, creeping up the hills and valleys and stuff. I don't know what it is. There's just something really quite pleasant about that. I know it's just fire smoke, but I just find it very pleasant to watch it creep up the woods like that. This is practically self-sustaining now. I haven't even needed to waft it, which is good because I didn't bring my wafty hat. That was an oversight. I could have done with that. It's pretty much taking care of itself now, so pretty soon we'll be good to cook, and I'm going to make some sort of little bushcrafty fork with the opinel knife. First things first, obviously we're boiling a brew. We've got to have vitamin coffee. I don't really have a table. I can't really be bothered to make one because every time I make anything in these woods I come back and it's been trashed, so for today we'll live without the table. The weather doesn't know what it's doing. We've had sleet, we've had hail, and now we've got sunshine. The weather hasn't got a clue. Right. Water's pretty much boiled. Fire's now completely self-sustaining. Let's get some actual logs on it. Bit of an angle there. Just let that burn a bit while I sort out a fork, and I've vanished. Alright then, so whilst the fire's getting going, well it is going, but while the big logs are getting going and while the coffee's boiling, oops, what we're going to need if we're going to be eating steak in the woods is something to eat it with. So let's knock up a very simple little bushcraft fork. This is a nice little bit of green oak. Wanted some sycamore, couldn't find any. And we're just going to make the simplest little bushcraft fork. Well, I'll tell you what, this little opinel's really good at debarking things. Like I said, I'm not going to put it through any massive trials because I know it'll break. I don't think that's the point of them as a knife design. I don't think they're designed to be your #1 knife and do absolutely everything. But that's why most of us have many. Although I must admit, I can get most of what I want doing with a little red Swiss Army knife, even though I've had lots of people tell me awful they are, I've broke the blades on them and all sorts, and I just think, well, what were you doing with it to break the blade? Stuff you shouldn't have been. So I guess the moral of the story is a tool is only as good as how you treat it and how you use it. Right, cleaned all the bark off it. Now all I'm going to do is split it just down the middle there. So far, go an inch or a little bit more, just down it like that. Let it close back up. Now, we're just going to shape it to a couple of points, a couple of prongs to make the actual tines of the fork. A bit of an undercut. Hollow it out a bit from above, just for finesse really. Shape it to a point. That's pointy enough. Lovely. Just pop this away so I don't poke myself with it. And all I'm going to do is take another teeny weeny piece of stick that I picked up earlier and sandwich this between the two tines. Not too far, otherwise you're going to split the whole thing to bits. Like that. Now we'll just refine that a little bit, so all I'm going to do, I can see my water's boiling away quite happily, is I'm just going to shave it down either side there. My kids love these little bushcraft forks, especially when we're cooking meatballs out in the woods. You'll love it. Use the back of your knife to make sure that that's down where you want it. That's where the locking feature comes in useful. And I'm just going to refine those edges up. Lovely. And there we have, pooh, smoke in the eye, a perfectly usable little bushcraft fork. So my theory of it being a dining knife seemed to be true. Because it's green oak and stuff, it's still quite soft on there, so what I'm going to do is just warm it up, heat it up over the fire and harden that a little bit to make it a little bit more resilient. But before I do that, this brew is ready, so it's time for me to argue with my pot. Ha 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 ha. Oh, lovely. Magnificent. I can get hold of the top, stash that for a little later. Oh, I'm not even on screen, or at least my head is. Do I have something to stir this with? Oh yes, I do. I have a lovely little bushcraft fork I made earlier. Magic. Oh, look at that. Charming. Let's just wet it up with a bit of coffee. Coffee apparently makes a good seasoning, I don't know about that. Oh, lovely, lovely. Ooh. Oh, nearly threw me brew everywhere. Lovely hot brew. Right, so as I said, we're just going to gently harden this over the fire a bit. Okay, time for a bit of cooking then. Use the pan to beat it flat. And what we're going to do is throw some nice beef tallow in that pan. Don't use seed oils, guys. Don't use anything that comes from seed oils. They are lethal, toxic, dangerous. Don't cook in anything that runs a diesel car. Lovely bit of tallow. Doo-dee-dee-doo. Just going to season my pan up with a little bit of my special modified Widobo mix. Because into this I'm dropping a half of the Stegosaurus. Why half? Well, because I've eaten the whole Stegosaurus in the woods several times, and I have to say, for a 40-ounce steak, by the time you get to the 30th ounce, it gets a bit much. There we go. Look at that. Ah, ha 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 ha. Lovely. Ah, and I'm getting much better at not cutting too much firewood. I've still got slightly more than I need, but I haven't gone absolutely mad this time. Always a plus. You have to be careful, because cooking on an open fire like this, it's very, very easy to overdo it and incinerate your steak, and we don't want that. Oh, that's good already. Right. In the spirit of not overcooking the devil out of my lovely steak, because like I say, it's very surprising just how quickly, even a steak this big will cook when you're in these woods with a nice open fire. And what I love most about this pan is for all the multitudes of meats that are cooking, it kind of produces its own gravy. Delightful. Oh, let's have a look at this. Let's try the little opinel knife that I'm pretty sure I'm just going to be using as like my dining. Look at that, straight through it. Oh, it's still pink. I haven't overcooked it. Oh yeah. And this thing, now I've put a decent edge on it, whoop, straight through. No weight to it. Nice comfortable little blade. Like I say, there is a lot of bushcraft tasks I wouldn't recommend it for, but I can see this being an excellent companion for fishing, skinning, just generally hunting, gutting out, cleaning out animals. So after we've had every flavour of weather, we now got a bit of sunshine coming out. Oh, it's still so hot. Still, I'm certainly not complaining about a nice bit of sunlight. This steak, ooh, so nice. And this knife goes through it like it's made of butter. Thing is, if I'd have cooked this steak for another 2-3 minutes longer, I'd have ruined it and it would have been dry. And after we've all just had Christmas turkey, the last thing anybody wants is dry meat. I don't know why we eat turkey for Christmas. Horrible, dry stuff. Oh. Lovely. Down to the last bite. And now time to do the washing up. Done. Well then, so. I say so a lot, I've got to stop that. In conclusion, the opinel number 6, the knife that I have rather despised for my entire time of knowing it. What do I think of it now? Well, I'm moderately impressed. Above everything, you've always got to remember the price. This is a very low cost knife. The blade is good quality, it's good quality steel, and it goes to a really nice thin edge. That makes it really, really easy to sharpen, and it makes it really easy to keep a good edge on it, which is something we all like. It's a great shape for doing tasks, filleting things, all that sort of business. To have around the campfire for cooking and all of that, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 for that. I can't really imagine what you would do to make it better as a dining companion. It's a fabulous little thing for that. General bushcraft, yeah, you could carve a bit with it. You could make your feather sticks with it and stuff like that. Like I've said from the start, you're not going to be hammering it through sticks to split things with, but I don't think that was ever intended as the point. I think it would make a fairly decent little gardening knife as well, and lots of different applications. So really, in conclusion, I have kind of changed my mind about this. When I bought this, I was planning on doing a full-on destruction test, pushing it to the maximum to show that it wasn't very good. In hindsight, why? We can all break things. We could all break things if we wanted to. But with everything equipment-wise, a bit of common sense has to be employed. Sometimes we have to look at something and say, this isn't the appropriate tool for the job. It's no good using a hammer when what you want's a screwdriver. So this will maintain a place in my bushcraft arsenal. Is it going to be number one? Is it really going to be replacing things? No, not at all. But then I have plenty of other blades, like my beloved Falk Niven 80, I won't be caught hammering that through anything, neither. That's just not something I would use it for. Even though that is a full tang knife, probably got the strength to do so, it's just not something I'd use it for. When I've got an axe, what would be the point? So I actually quite like them now. I will be keeping this, I will be using it. I will probably be using it for just general cooking, general small carving tasks, trimming rope, all that sort of stuff where you need a sharp blade after you've sharpened it, because like I said, this was supplied with a terrible edge on it. I assume they're not all sent like, I don't know, maybe I just got the bad luck out of the draw. But I'm not going to tell you this is the greatest blade ever made, but it certainly has a place, and you'd be a lot better off with this in your pocket than a spoon. It does have its uses, and well, I'm going to keep it, I'm going to use it, and we'll see how it goes on as time moves forth. But for a little knife as it is, I quite like it, and I would actually like to try carving with it, as in, you know, carving some pretty pictures on a piece of wood, or carving my name in something. I feel like because of the nice thin blade with the right amount of care, it would be very good at that. So, you know, for a first knife or for a low-cost knife, yeah, they're all right. I quite like it now. Like I say, don't push it past its capacity. You'll be all right. So that is the Opinel number 6. For anyone out there who's not come across these before, get yourselves one, see what you think of it. Certainly a great knife to learn how to sharpen with, because it sharpens up really quite nicely. But that's about all the waffle I have to say on this little Opinel knife here. Pretty much all I've got to say for the day, as the fire just burns through. So as always, guys, that's enough for Bosun Dan. You guys get yourselves out there, get having fun, get bushcrafting, get playing with new bushcraft weaponry. Let me know how you get on. Above all, be safe, and I will catch you in the next one.